Hello everyone, this is Yoshi542 and I'm doing another World of Tanks replay gameplay commentary thing. And this time it's going to be on the map South Coast and I will be on the tier 9 Chinese medium, the WZ-120. Now I don't think I've done WZ-120 replays before on my channel, so if this is the first time that's great, but I know I've done the heavy tanks and I did do the T-34-1 a while back as well, which is the tier 7 Chinese medium, and this is the tier 9. I skipped the tier 8, which is the T-34-2, because I heard it was really awful, not worth the effort. Now, the thing with the WZ-120 is it has a really good gun, but the weak part about this, since right now it's on double speed at least, is due to the fact that the gun is great, not that accurate, but very powerful, good DPM. It's just the gun depression on this tank is actually, I think, the worst in game, if not second worst, at -3. Compared to other tanks at tier, slow that down, at tier 9, they can go anywhere from -5 to even -10. As seen in the Centurion 7-1, the M46 Patton, the Type 61, those have -10 depression. This has -3. The lower that number, the worse it is, and in this case, -3 is a lot worse than -10. So you have to play it a little bit more cautiously when trying to snipe with this tank, because you don't want to expose your hull. The lower front plate is an obvious weak spot, but the upper front plate is only 100mm thick. Compare that to the T-54, the tier 9 Russian medium, which has 120mm at about the same angle. So that one's a little bit thicker than this. You could still bounce, but it's not as likely. So we're going to switch to my view now. And here you see me trying to shoot at the Super Pershing, which is hiding behind a rock, trying to snipe. I'm actually going to speed this up a little bit more again because there's really nothing going on. I'm going to go take a shot and actually hit him. The average damage on this gun, the final gun, the 120, is about 440, so that was a slightly above average damage roll. That was a really good roll. Going for another shot, he bounces on me, and I missed him completely. The nice thing about the 120 though, it has a very strong frontal turret armor. Now, I'm going to switch out my view again, and if you look at the turret, it actually has very little weak spots except for the commander's hatch. But if you try to shoot to the front, you're probably gonna have to use a very high penning round, like a heat round that does over 330 to actually penetrate through it. It's, I believe, 240 or 235mm thick in the front, and since it's kind of an egg shape, it's good for bouncing. Currently, the team is losing by 1, but there's nothing much else going on. There seems to be a fair amount of people camping outside their spawn, like that Super Pershing that I damaged. They have a Tiger 88 and a few other tanks. I just took another shot there, nothing. Now, I realized, okay, maybe I should go try to take that Ice 8, but I don't want to just rush in, exposing myself to the Super Pershing where he could take out my tracks or damage me, an engine or something. So I'm gonna go down here and then cut in while still under the cover of most of this hill. And I got spotted. I don't know what spotted me, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna go for a shot. I do have heat loaded, which is kind of dumb, but since I did shoot him plainly in the side, heat was not necessary. I damaged him once and make that twice. That one was a much lower roll in terms of average damage. And I guess that T-34-3 must have spotted me. Tier 8 Chinese premium medium tank. And now there's a Tiger 88 who's trying to flank that Centurion, or I'm not Centurion, the Caernarvon. But I finished him off before he could do any more damage to the Caernarvon, who was tunnel visioned. Super Pershing shoots me, hull down, so I can't necessarily shoot his the single weak spot in his frontal hull. We're still losing too, 6-8. And that's the first real damage I took this game now. But I still have a lot of health. So I'm gonna go with the Caernarvon and push. Big shot into the 234 free, 490 roll, which is really high, and I did engine damage. He was on fire, but I guess he had an automatic fire extinguisher. And the Canerva's pushing up, which is a questionable move. He still has a fair amount of health, though. I want to take a shot off at this 34 free and finish him. I'm going for a Commander Satch, and I finish him off. He fired heat at me, but he must have... Let me pause this really quick. But yeah, it looks like he either hit the gun mantlet or probably the gun mantlet. And heat does nothing to spaced armor of the gun mantlet. But this Super Pershing has been spamming APCR trying to pen me this entire game. And the Canervan just walked into my shot. Luckily, he still had a good amount of health, although I did kind of knock it down in half there. So the Canervan's going to try to keep him busy, and I want to get a shot off too. I damaged him again, and I've been doing the most damage to this Super Pershing, and I'll give it to him. He's a competent player. He knows he has to use APCR against me, at least if he's aiming for the turret or Commander Satch. And that was a dumb move by me. I forgot that I could shoot at that little machine gun at the front of his upper front plate. I used HG and didn't do much damage. That one somehow must have missed, even though that was basically point blank. And there he bounces off me. I'm gonna wait, and I finish him off. So I still have about half health, or yeah, about half health, and 3 kills. I'm gonna go in and see if I could take something down, because right now our team is still losing by at least 1 cap. There's one of the artillery, the GW Tiger. Damaged him, but hasn't killed him. I use auto aim here, make it easier on me, and he's dead. That's one thing I also want to know, that I rarely use auto aim, but I've been using it lately in the past couple weeks. When it's situations where it's already, you can basically just use auto aim. I don't always use it just on Artie. I do use it on a couple other tanks, like, you know, the really low tier ones with almost no armor. You could probably auto aim as long as they're not moving too much. Now the damage I did here is well over 3,700, and I got 4 kills, but I'm basically capping it out because it's me and a Borsig that are the last players on our team. And maybe if I could distract them by getting a cap and even damaging one of them or killing him, that would be great. Because they got an E75, an I3, and a Lorraine. 155-50 artillery. There's the E75 that gets spotted. So I'm gonna bide my time here. I want to see if he turns his turret in one direction, I can pop in the other direction and try to ambush him. Unfortunately, I don't get a shot off here. There it is, spotted again. I'm turning around my tank, and I'm gonna try to set it up where I can knock out his tracks first. He gets hit by the whatchamacallit, the Borsig in the butt, and I shoot him directly in the tracks, and he dies because the Borsig uses the big 150mm gun. There's an I3, and I load up heat because I want to make sure I guarantee I pen him. Even if he damages me, I want to guarantee I pen him. The faster I kill him, the better. That means if I have to risk it by wasting more credits on using heat, I will. So I take I land 2 shots on him with the heat rounds, which is kind of wasteful, but it does the job. And he's done. He's done. And I've done 4.8k damage. I got my top gun, 6 kills. And at this point I realized, you know what? I don't need to risk it. I don't need to try to go for the shot. I'm gonna let the Borsig kill him. That's why I'm still on the cap here. And I say, I already got my top gun. He's all yours. So I'm gonna let the Borsig go for him. And if the Borsig gets him, great. He gets an extra kill. But the Borsig has about a whole minute. And he's up to the challenge, so he's gonna go for it. Now, if he would have said no, he's like, oh, why don't you just kill him? I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But he said he wants to do it, so, and I can't really see it from here, but, and he goes down the hill. I guess he, auto aims him or pre-aims and gets the derp shot off pretty close range and finishes him off. Here are the battle results of that specific game that I played on South Coast with WZ-120. As you can see, I got Ace Tanker, Mastery Badge, Fire for Effect, Duelist, Bruiser, and the obvious Top Gun. I obviously damaged more than 6 tanks, as I damaged Yog Tiger 88 and killed him, the Super Pershing, killed him, C-34-3, killed him, IS-3, killed him, the GW Tiger Artillery, killed him, E-75 landed the last damaging shot on him and killed him, as well as damaging the IS-8 quite a lot. Here the damage was just over 4,800. And a fair amount of EXP for getting the Top Gun and doing what I did. Last but not least, I did spend a lot of heat rounds this game, but it was worth it. As you can see, a lot of damaging shots. 20 fired, 16 hit, and 15 of those penetrated, so yeah, about 75% penetration. I even had a few shots damage, or some damage blocked by my armor, which was good. And I even played kind of a spotting role since I am a medium tank, so I have a good mobility with the WZ-120, despite the really horrible gun depression. Now, last but not least, even though I did have to suffer a fine for damaging my allies because the Caernarvon kind of ran into the shot I was firing into, I believe that was a TK-34 free, it's alright. But the XP that I got, even though I did kind of get penalized for that, was still really awesome. I got over 2,000 after premium XP for this game, and it was a double. If it was a double win multiplier, which I believe this was, I just got 4k XP. Now, if this was a 5 times multiplier, that would have been an easy 10k, but it wasn't, unfortunately. But that's alright. And I believe this was also my first Ace Tanker on the WZ-120. It's usually hard for me to play this tank due to the fact that 1, its gun depression is awful, and 2, I want to try to rely on my upper front plate because it's angled well enough, but it's just not that thick. It's only 100 millimeters, and at a tier 9, when you're facing tier 10s, they're going to penetrate through it even with regular AP most of the time. So, you know, if it was 120, you'd have a slightly better chance of survival, but it isn't. The gun itself is really big, but it's not the most accurate due to how hard hitting it is. It's actually, I believe, the hardest hitting medium tank gun at tier 9 and tier 10 in the entire game. Because the tank after this, the 121, uses the same gun, which is slightly a bit more accurate, slightly faster firing rate, but other than that, it's still pretty inaccurate due to the fact it fires at 440 damage instead of 390, as seen on practically almost all the medium tanks that aren't Russian in tier 9 and tier 10. E50, Leopard prototype, Leopard 1, E50M, M46 and M48 Patton, Type 61, STB1, Centurion, Mark 7-1, and FV4202. They all fire around 390 damage because they use some type of kind of a modified 105mm smoothbore cannon, I think. Or is that the L781? It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is the WZ-120 with its gun is probably the least accurate out of all the tier 9/10 guns. But what it lacks in that is it comes with big damage. It can roll fairly high, and you could brawl with it at a certain point, but it's not something I want to rely on. Although a lot of people do see this as kind of a brawling tank since, you know, you hit hard and you hit decent enough in rate of fire. Okay, so this is Yoshi542. That was my gameplay commentary for this replay with the WZ-120 on the South Coast map. And if you did enjoy it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.